really. First of all, I should say there was absolutely zero justification for the invasion. None. There was no charge against the Taliban. The US at the time didn't even know whether Osama bin Laden was responsible. The anti-Taliban Afghan resistance, which was strong, was bitterly opposed to the invasion. Its leading figure, Abdul Haq, backed by many others, said that the invasion is just taking place because the United States wants to show its muscle and intimidate everyone. It will kill many Afghans and it will undermine their efforts to overthrow the Taliban from within. I was backed up by about 1,000 tribal leaders, by the main women's group in Afghanistan, but nobody pays attention to Afghans. Donald Rumsfeld and President Bush himself gave approximately the same reason for invading. The Taliban offered to, they had no charge against the Taliban before 9/11. In fact, they were on pretty good terms with them. 9/11 took place. Rumsfeld immediately recognized that this is an opportunity to really go big, as he said. They didn't care that much about Afghanistan. They had bigger game to go after, Iraq, and then the rest of the region. Taliban offered to extradite bin Laden. We don't know if the offers were serious because the US just rejected them. Taliban then offered to totally surrender, which would mean bin Laden would be loose. US response was, we don't negotiate surrenders. Rumsfeld, Bush, approximately the same. Nevertheless, despite this, in the early years of the occupation, it could have succeeded. The Taliban basically had retreated to their villages. The rural population, overwhelming majority, basically just wanted peace. And if the United States could have brought peace, they were hoping maybe for some sort of development aid, could have worked. But instead, the US launched a violent, brutal invasion, attacks by US Special Forces on night attacks, invading apartments, terrorizing people, bombing attacks that killed civilians. Pretty soon they had, in fact, there's a very good study of this by Anand Gopal, one of the few journalists who was on the ground the whole time. Wrote an excellent book in which he described what was happening. It's a tribal society. The invasion, American invasion, led to lots of local warlords and being established. Some of them wanted to eliminate their enemies. So what they would do is inform the American forces that the enemy was cooperating with the Taliban, and the US would send massive forces in, smash everything up, kill a lot of people, recruit for the Taliban, which is of course what happens. You break into a house at 2 a.m., smash the place up, you kill somebody, father will join the Taliban, okay? So there was an opportunity. It was squandered. And it just turned into basically a war of occupation. It was pretty obvious that the whole thing was going to collapse right away. Actually, I don't say that in retrospect. I was giving interviews about it early this year. What happened was that Trump, in February 2020, simply gave away the store. He just wanted to get out. He told the Taliban, do whatever you like, and we're going to leave. Just the only condition is don't attack American forces. Okay. Otherwise, you can do whatever you like. This was, of course, demoralizing for the Afghan army and the government, such as it was, mostly a morass of corruption with very little support. As soon as Biden somewhat extended the withdrawal, it was supposed to be May. Biden extended it a couple of months, but didn't really change much. As soon as American forces started to withdraw, the Afghan army, which was half of it probably was only on paper in the first place, just dissolved. The government fled. Whole thing was over. There were lots of precipitous withdrawal. There never should have been an invasion. The mode of the occupation was shocking. I didn't even mention the torture chambers all over, which bitterly alienated Afghans, of course. So the occupation was a disaster. Still, there should not have been a precipitous withdrawal. Also, the withdrawal was timed at exactly the wrong time. Under Trump, it would have been at the beginning of the fighting season. If anything, it should have been at the end of the fighting season, giving people some kind of a chance to make accommodations, maybe local accommodations, other arrangements among Afghans. But nobody cared about the Afghans. We just do what's in it for us. In fact, some of the commentary on this was really astonishing. So, for example, it's pretty obvious to any journalist that the most important interview on the anniversary of the invasion, also the small follow-up exercise in Iraq, most important interview would be with the perpetrator, the man who proudly called himself the decider, George W. Bush. Well, I searched. There was actually an interview with him in the Washington Post in the style section. They had an interview timed with the withdrawal, which is about this lovable, goofy grandpa playing with his kids, looking at the portraits he painted of great people he met. Really nice guy. There was a couple of words about some of his exploits, but it was about how he was much better than Trump, because at least he didn't call his opponents bad names. Okay. Killed a couple million people, endless number of refugees, destroyed 2 countries, and had initiated a regime of terror, initiated ethnic conflicts that disrupt, tearing the whole region apart. But he didn't call his enemies bad names. Okay, so nice guy. Let's go back to goofy old grandpa. That was not untypical of the commentary. It's all about us. Many articles about the cost to us, maybe $8 trillion according to the latest estimates.
Wow.
But notice that that's not really a cost to us. Most of that money comes back to the United States, military contractors, to defense industry, to payment for soldiers, veterans benefits. Small amount of it went to the Afghans, and most of that to corrupt officials. So the $8 trillion is a little bit misleading. But that's the nature of the commentary. Afghans, who cares?